Most contractors I talk to know they have a $2 million general liability policy. What most of them don't know is that $2 million doesn't mean what they think it means, especially if they're running more than one job at a time. Stick with me, this one affects every contractor running more than one job at a time. Let's start with how GL limits actually work, because most contractors know one number and miss the one that matters the most. Every general liability policy has two primary limits. First is your per occurrence limit. That's the maximum your carrier will pay for any single claim. On a standard general liability policy, that's typically $1 million. The second is your aggregate limit. That's the maximum your carrier will pay across all claims in the entire policy year. On a standard general liability policy, that's typically $2 million. When contractors say they have a $2 million policy, they're quoting the aggregate. But here's what most people miss. The aggregate isn't a per job limit. It's a shared pool that applies to every claim on every job for the entire policy for that year. Let me show you how that plays out. Say you're running 3 jobs at the same time. On the first job, something goes wrong. $800,000 claim. Your carrier pays it. Your aggregate pool now has $1.2 million left. A few months later, a $900,000 claim comes in from the second job. Carrier pays it. Your aggregate pool now has $300,000 left. Near the end of the year, a $600,000 claim is filed from the third job. I know this was a rough year, but it happens. Your carrier pays $300,000. What's left in the pool? That's all they can pay. The remaining $300,000 falls on you directly. The policy isn't expired. The coverage didn't fail. The carrier did exactly what the policy said. And chances are, if you had 3 claims in 1 year, you were not getting renewed. The aggregate simply was exhausted before the end of the year. Now, here's something most contractors don't know exists. Most GL policies carry a second aggregate, separated from the general aggregate, specifically for products completed, operations claims. That's claims that arise after the work is finished. So a roof that starts leaking 18 months after installation, a floor that fails after the building opens, structural issues that surface at closeout. The second aggregate is separate from your general aggregate, but it erodes the same way. If you're running active jobs and you have recently completed projects, you may be drawing from both pools at the same time. Most contractors don't realize that both exist. Now let's talk about what you can actually do about this. A standard general liability coverage pulls your entire aggregate across all jobs for the entire year. But there's an endorsement, a modification to your standard policy called a per project aggregate. With a per project aggregate endorsement, each individual job gets its own little slither of that coverage, its own aggregate limit. And if one project's claims exhaust its entire aggregate, then your other active policies still have their full limits available. They're not drawing from the same pool. This endorsement is not standard. It typically costs more. Whether it makes sense for you depends on the number of simultaneous jobs you're running and their size, but it exists, and most contractors have never been told to ask about it. It's very handy if you want to pay for that. Here's what I want you to do. Pull your declaration page. That's the summary document at the front of your general liability policy. Find 3 numbers, your per occurrence limit, your general aggregate, and your product's completed operations aggregate. Those tell you what you actually have. Then ask your agent one question. Given the number of jobs I'm running right now and their size, is my aggregate exposure something I should be concerned about? That conversation takes 5 minutes. I put together a free 1-page guide that walks you through your declarations page, what each number means, and what to ask your agent when you look at them or have your insurance review renewal. It's free. Grab it at callwatley.com. And if you want to have that conversation about your current limits, that's exactly what we do. So reach out. The number is 318-423-7445, or go to callwatley.com. Next week, we're talking about additional insured status, what it actually means to add someone to your policy, what rights that gives them, and what you're agreeing to when a general contractor requires it. That one drops next Tuesday. See you then.